The questions are now also being raised. Does our decision in Libya mean that we are potentially getting ourselves involved in a third war in the Middle East? Congressman Dennis Kucinich certainly thinks so. He's already issued a statement saying, while the action is billed as protecting the civilians of Libya, a no-fly zone begins with an attack on the air defenses of Libya and Gaddafi forces. It is an act of war. War from the air is still war. Is he right? And should Congress be called back into session to authorize our country's involvement in this military strike? Well, let's ask him. Joining me now is Democratic Congressman Dennis Kucinich from Ohio. Congressman, what exactly do you mean? Thank you for joining us. What exactly do you mean that it is an act of war? Just let's get perfect clarity on that.
You have to visualize what it means to participate in and establish a no-fly zone. It means that you first have to knock out the air defenses of Libya in this case, and anything that would support those air defenses. That means bombing. It also may mean cruise missile strikes. And so that's an act of war by definition. And my concern, in addition to opposing this as a matter of policy, is that the Congress of the United States, under the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, has the responsibility to ultimately make this decision. It is not the President's to make. And so that's why I sent letters to all congressional leaders this afternoon asking them to call Congress back into session so that we can debate and make a decision as to what we should do.
Well, Congressman, a lot of people will say, hey, listen, if we don't support the rebel forces in Libya, that'll send a message to all the dictators throughout the Middle East. You know what? You can do brutal repression of your people, and that'll work. That's what they call the Libya model at this point. Are you concerned that that would be the message if we did not do a no-fly zone?
Well, I'm concerned that if we do a no-fly zone and become entrained in a third war in that area and in the Muslim world, that we're sending another message. We're sending a message that says that the U.S. is ready to pursue aggression against anybody we don't agree with in that region. That's a very dangerous message to send. We don't have the money to pursue this, Cenk. We don't have the resources militarily to pursue this. We've got great pilots. We've got people who can do their job. But essentially, we're spreading ourselves so thin already. And one has to ask, what are they thinking in the White House about this? I wonder, when you see Secretary Gates having weighed in, apparently in opposition to this, although as a good secretary will support his president, you have to wonder what they're thinking of in terms of the bigger picture here. And that's why Congress has to get into this debate. We have to bring the Congress back. Congress has to make the decision. It's our constitutional responsibility, and it's time that we stop passing it off to presidents.
Congressman Kucinich, it brings up an interesting point. I'm not entirely clear where liberals stand on this, where conservatives stand on this, and I want to get a sense of the Congress from you. Have you seen that yet, where the two camps are going, or is there no camps in this case, and it's just wide open?
I think it's wide open, Cenk. I don't, liberal and conservative keeps getting redefined. On our debate on Afghanistan yesterday, we had some of the most conservative members of Congress, Ron Paul, Jason Chaffetz, and others, and Walter Jones join us in trying to get out of Afghanistan. I think that members of Congress are concerned about our troops. We're concerned about spreading ourselves too thin, and we're concerned about the cost. And so this ought to be debated in the Congress. It should not be for the President of the United States to make this very powerful statement that sends a signal to the world that we're ready to get engaged in a no-fly zone without Congress having a chance to make the decision. It's not up to the President. He can't make that decision. There's no vital interest to the United States directly at stake here. He cannot tell the American people there's an imminent threat to the United States. And frankly, President Obama himself, listen to this quote, December 20th, 2007, as Senator Obama, he said, the President does not have the power under the Constitution to unilaterally authorize a military attack in a situation that does not involve stopping an actual or imminent threat to the nation. Now, he can't meet his own test. That's why he needs to come back to the Congress and ask for permission.
But, Congressman, that was his candidate, Obama. So we've learned that sometimes those are different. All right, but real quick, last question for you. So do you think that President Clinton made a mistake when he did something similar in Bosnia?
Well, I challenged the President with the Senate Joint Resolution, I believe it was 21, where he wanted continuing authority to bomb Serbia. I think that was a different case, and let me explain why. Because there was a powerful opposition in the streets of Serbia. We didn't support it. We actually set back the opposition movement by bombing Milosevic. But in this case, there's more of a real civil war going on, and we have to be very careful about getting in the middle of this. A third war, a third front, the loss of lives of our people, the innocent civilians, this becomes a nightmare, and that's why all those who are urging caution right now should be listened to. But even more than that, we need to bring the United States Congress, which has a constitutional responsibility to make the decision as to whether to go to war. It's not up to the president.
All right, Congressman Dennis Kucinich, very clear, and we want to thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Cenk.